Good morning, students, and welcome in the social science class. We are discussing the lesson 11, and the name of the lesson is Small Kingdom in South India. In previous video, we have already discussed about the South Kingdom, that is the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas, and their effect, their rise and decline in the South India. And today we will move to the another topic, that is the governance in the South India, and then we will discuss about the great philosopher Shankaracharya. So let's start with the governance in South India. So governance of the South India start with the administration. The king was the head of the administration, and his primary duty was to protect the people from the internal disturbance and the external attacks. The right of the king was unlimited, and the central administration was divided into different departments. And king reigned the administration with the help of ministers. And the kingdom was divided into the provinces, and provinces is known as the mandalams. And each province was under the control of an official who worked according to the instruction of the king. Then economy. So the land revenue was the main source of income. It was fixed one-third of the production by the Chola rulers. The economic condition of the people was good. Agriculture, trade, and the weaving were the chief occupation of the people. The irrigation facility were well developed, which increased the agriculture production. So economically, Southern Kingdom were quite prosperous. Now let's talk about the society. The society of the Southern India was also the caste ridden like that of the North India. It means the society was divided into four parts, that is the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and the Shudra. The Brahmin and the Kshatriya live a luxury life and they have a prosper life, and they dominate the lower caste people. The lower caste people live a miserable life. The peasant till the land which belong to the ruler of the temple. So the people who belong to the lower caste live a miserable life, and the Brahmin and Kshatriya live a prosper life, and they dominate the other caste people. Let's talk about the religion. The Chola kings were the Hindu, and they were the devotee of the Lord Shiva, and many temples were built by them. But all the religion flourished because they were the quite tolerant to the other religion. Hindus was the most popular religion, and the cult of the Lord Shiva and Vishnu became more important. Kanchipuram was an important center for the Sanskrit religion language like Tamil. This is a picture from the Kanchipuram center. Literary work like Shila Padikaram and Mani Mekhle were written during this period. And yes, it was also the center of the pilgrim of the Hindu devotee, and the Bhakti saint preached the teaching of the epic of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and the epics were translated into many South languages. Alright, so now let's move to the education. So, temple of the South India were the main source of the education. Each temple had mutt. This is a picture of a mutt which provide free education. Mutt of South India was like the boarding school of the today, where students get a free education, boarding, etc. And the some temple emerged as leading culture center, where fair, contest, and other culture activity were organized. Though Sanskrit continued as the language of the scholar, but the Tamil, Kannada, and the Telugu also progressed at that time. Then next is art and architecture. The ruler of the southern kingdom built a number of important temples. Here is the picture of the Mahabalipuram temple, and this temple is located in the Tamil Nadu. The ruler of the southern kingdom was not only the great warrior but also the great patron of the art and the architecture. So this is a rock cut temple, and the name of the temple is Mahabalipuram, and this temple is located in the Tamil Nadu. Now there is another picture of the rock cut temple. This is the Kailashnath temple, and there is a statue of the Nataraj, which is very famous work of the Chola dynasty in the field of art and architecture. Now let's talk about the Shankaracharya. Many years ago, when the practice of dharma was on the decline in India, Adi Shankara appeared on the scene and propagated the ancient Vedic dharma in the form of Advaita. Alright? Advaita is the philosophy of oneness, and Adi Shankaracharya belonged to the Kerala village Kaladi. Shankaracharya suggests the satsanga as the very first step in the sadhana. At an early age, Adi Shankara learned the Vedas, and he realized the oneness is the essence of all the knowledge. And this is the doctrine of Advaita, that means the absolute is one alone. Shankaracharya taught the rule of the bhakti, yoga, and the karma to brighten the intellectual and purify the heart. Advaita is the awareness of the divine in everything and everywhere. And he also established 4 matha in 4 extreme corners of the India to spread the message of the Advaita. So these Jyoti matha are 4 mathas are Jyotir Matha at Badrinath in Uttarakhand, then Shraddha Pitha at Dwarika in Gujarat, then Govardhan Nath Puri at Puri in Odisha, and last one is Sringeri Matha at Sringeri in Karnataka. So Shankaracharya lived only for the 32 years, but during that time he purified and consolidated the various schools of the worship and brought them under the umbrella of one philosophical principle, that is the Advaita. So that's it. This is the end of the chapter. I hope you understand the chapter and this is clear to you now. So thank you and have a nice day to all of you.